So Newsweek is reporting on a case that's been rejected by the Supreme Court, meaning the lower court decision now stands. It's a case involving the American flag in school. They say the following, quote, "In a move sure to anger some on the political right, the Supreme Court on Monday declined to hear an appeal to a Ninth Circuit Court's ruling that school administrators in Morgan Hill, California, did not violate 3 students' constitutional rights by telling them to remove clothing bearing American flag images during a school-sanctioned celebration of Cinco de Mayo. The administrators feared the patriotic American imagery could incite ethnic violence. They looked to Tinker versus Des Moines School, a landmark 1969 case from which the Tinker test was derived to determine if disciplinary actions by schools violate students' First Amendment rights. In Tinker, the Supreme Court found that school officials may prohibit the expression of a particular opinion if they can show such expression might reasonably lead to school authorities to forecast substantial disruption or material interference with school activities." So, just to sum that up real quick, what that means is it was Cinco de Mayo. Some white kids thought they were being clever and thought they were being patriotic, and they wore American flag shirts, and they showed up basically as a fuck you to everybody else on Cinco de Mayo to say, yeah, fuck your culture and your heritage. This is what really matters right here. America, we're number one, bro. That's how it goes. And were they being dicks? Absolutely, there's no question about it. Were they trying to rile everybody else up and get them mad at them and possibly start an altercation? Maybe. I mean, it's very possible. I don't doubt that the people who were trying to shit on other holidays because America, I don't doubt that they were looking for trouble. That's very, very possible, if not likely. So that's what they were doing, and the school said, no, we're not going to allow that. Either take off the shirt, go home, or just you're not going to be around with that shirt because this may lead to violence. So the courts heard this case because the kid said, well, you violated my First Amendment rights. I have a right to wear that shirt. So they took him to court, and the court ruled, well, no, you don't have a right because there very likely could have been violence as a result of what you did, so it's just trying to prevent a further problem when they sent you home or told you to take the shirt off, so the school was right. And again, they use what's called the Tinker test to come to that conclusion. Now, do I agree? I do not. In fact, I totally disagree. So this is like one of the first times in a long time, maybe ever, that you can say the Supreme Court, by some understandings of the definition, is more liberal than me. Where they were like, yeah, no, side with the school, prevent a further problem, send the kid with the American flag shirts home. No, I think that they do have a right to wear that shirt. Now, again, I want to be clear. I'm not saying they're good guys. I'm not saying I support their message of being overly patriotic and nationalistic and saying fuck you to everybody else. I don't support that at all. In fact, I think it's dumb that they did that. But do they have a right to wear it if there, in fact, was no literal, physical violence and there wasn't a situation that could have been contained otherwise? I do think they have a right to wear it. I do. And I think that it's incumbent upon the school to always err on the side of freedom unless there's incontrovertible evidence of the contrary. Like, for sure there's going to be some sort of fucking fatal knife fight in the yard if you don't intervene. And that's not the case here. It was like, well, we think there might be some problem and there's no other way to contain it. And by the way, even if there are signs of like minor problems, like a little scuffle or something, that's still not grounds enough, in my opinion, to say, well, now we're going to force you to take it off. No, because it's a slippery slope. And I know a lot of liberals might look at this because it's the American flag shirt and it's patriotic douchebags that like, well, fuck them, so yeah, make them take it off. But imagine if it's something else. Imagine if it's some kids wearing an Iraq War protest shirt, right? And the school is like, well, you're angering the conservative kids, and the conservative kids might do some violence against you as a result of this, so you need to take it off because those kids might respond. No, you have a right to speak up. Hey, I don't support the war. Okay, you have a right to do that. What if it's a pro-abortion shirt and most people in your school are pro-life and they're angry and they're getting loud and maybe violent? You have a right to wear it, man. And this goes across the board. It doesn't matter what the political message is. It could be a pro-NRA shirt. It could be a pro-Ted Cruz shirt. Or it could be a pro-socialism shirt. or it could be an anti-war shirt or pro-drug shirt, whatever it is. I don't care if the message is liberal or conservative or whatever. You always have to err on the side of, you got to let them go unless you absolutely can't at the last minute. And then if they have to take it off to literally prevent a fight that's about to happen, then you tell them to. But the thing is, I forget who said it. There was a great quote from a Supreme Court justice on this issue from a while ago. It may have even been in the Tinker versus Des Moines case, where they say, your constitutional rights aren't left at the schoolhouse door. And that's true. You have a right to free speech in there. You have a right to freedom of expression, freedom to protest, to make a statement with your shirt, a political statement or otherwise. And to me, it smacks of arrogance that anybody feels like they have a right to tell anybody else what message they can send with their clothing if they just don't agree with it, or if they think it may be or may not cause some further problems. No, I don't like the precedent this sets. It's too police-statey, and it's got undertones of the idea that, like, the majority can take away the rights of the minority. And again, we may all not like the douchebags in this case who wore these shirts, but I'll go back to the same point. I mean, imagine somebody wearing an anti-war shirt. Imagine somebody wearing an anti-Dick Cheney shirt, and people get angry. Should that kid have to take it off? No, I don't think they should.